discuss to study free torsional undamped vibration of two rotor system. Okay, so apparatus required for this practical are shaft, two rotors, marking pins, arms and weights. Okay, so let us have a look at two rotor system first. So dear friends, this is universal vibration apparatus in which so many experiments we can conduct over here. This is equipment required regarding force vibration, and this is for two rotor system which we are going to discuss today, and this is for torsional vibration which we are going to discuss later on. So first of all, let us have a look at this apparatus of two rotor system. There are two discs. This is disc number A. This is disc B. So what we are going to observe out of these two, between these two discs, disc A and disc B, there is a shaft. You can see this is a shaft, and uh, we actually trying to find the frequency of the shaft. Okay, and on the basis of torsional equation, we are going to find the node points of this shaft, and node points are those points where failure is likely to occur, and we'll be finding that right after. If you consider this number B, this B, there are two holes. These two holes are there to mount arm over here, and as well as to locate weight over here. So we will find what is the effect if we increase the weight on certain disc, any of the disc. If we increase the weight, then what happened to the node point that we are going to observe out of this experiment. So let us try to understand the theoretical part of this experiment priorly. This is two rotor system with rotor A and rotor B, such that we will be rotating this rotor A in a clockwise direction and rotor B in an anti-clockwise direction. Right after that, we will be observing a T theta diagram like this, and in this T theta diagram, we are going to locate total L as a distance between rotor A and rotor B, such that after twisting it, we will be able to find this node point N. So we can consider that the distance from node point to rotor A is LA, and distance of node point from rotor B is LB, such that total distance is near about L, which is equal to LA plus LB. Okay, so this is the theoretical concept which we are going to study out of it, and it has found that the total length of the shaft is considered to be 995 millimeter. It is to be 1 meter actually, but certain amount of shaft is get consumed while fixing rotors over it, so it is considered as 995 millimeters. So as we know that there are two types of systems, one is linear system, one is torsional system. So in case of linear system, as we know that force is directly proportional to displacement, that is force is directly proportional to displacement. We are taking force as F value and displacement as X value. So by generalizing this equation, we can have force is equal to K into X, such that K is the stiffness of the shaft. So in case of linear system, stiffness is given as K is equal to F by X. So this is the stiffness of the shaft equation which we obtained through linear system. But if we consider the torsional system is the system like this, where torque is get applied over it. In this system, we will be able to consider that T is the torque of the system, and torque is directly proportional to the angular displacement. So torque is directly proportional to angular displacement, such that torque is equal to Kt into theta, where Kt is the torsional stiffness. So Kt, as we consider as a torsional stiffness, so Kt is equal to T by theta. We can consider Kt is equal to T by theta. This is your equation number 2. Right after that, as we know that there is a role of torsion equation in case of torsional system. So we should consider a torsional equation, that tau by r is equal to c theta by l, which is equal to by j. Okay, so this part of the equation we are going to consider for the calculation part. This is the torsion equation, and as we consider c theta by l which is equal to t by j, and now rearranging these terms, whether uh, we are going to rearrange the terms like theta t by theta is equal to cj by l. So this is the certain amount of rearrangement which we have taken over here. So from equation number 2, as we know that this is equation number 2, and in this equation we obtain t by theta and certain value related to t by theta over here. So we can say that from equation number 2, kt is equal to cj upon l. So this is the equation which we are going to use for further calculations. Okay. So now here we are going to consider, as we know that omega n is equal to twice pi fn, and as we aware about the torsion, means what you can say here, you can say the omega a is equal to omega b over here, because the frequency of rotor A is going to be equal to the frequency of rotor B for a reason they both are mounted on a same shaft. So here omega A will be equal to omega B, such that as we know that omega is equal to under root of k by m, which is equal to under root of kt by I. In case of torsion equation, under root of kt by I. We are replacing k by kt and m by I over here. Right after that, this is, as we know that k by m is for linear system and kt by I is for torsional system. Now put equation number 3 in equation number 5. So this is equation number 3 and equation number 5 is this. By putting this value, we will be able to get omega is equal to cj upon li. So this is equation number, this is the equation number which we are obtaining, and now we are putting equation number 4. Value of equation number 4 is omega a is equal to omega b. So here by putting equation number putting this value of omega, that is omega is equal to under root of cj by li, in equation number 4 we are getting under root of cj upon laia is equal to under root of cj upon lbib. By cancel outing similar terms and under root sign, we will be able to get here laia is equal to lbib, which is our equation number 6. Okay, so here we can have the value of la by rearranging this equation number 6, and as well as we can have the value of lb by arranging the equation number 6 also. So now right after that, we have certain values which we have given from the specification point of view. We are having for rotor ia is equal to 0.016063 kg meter square, ib is given as 0.0099 kg meter square. But if we are putting r on rotor b, then ib value changes to 0.01329 kg meter square, and if we are putting mass over the rotor b, then ib value changes to 0.02515 kg meter square. Okay, so this is about the specification, and this observation table we will discuss later on, right after our experimentation. So now let us have a look at our apparatus. This is the rotor, this is our rotor A, and this is our rotor B. To rotor B, there we can attach arms and weights, and this is our shaft, where these are the holdings of the shaft, these are the jaws where the holdings of the shaft is there. And now we can have the frequency directly, means if you want to measure the frequency of two rotor system, we will have to count for certain oscillations. We can go for 5 oscillation, we can go for 10 oscillation, but let us say we are priorly taking 5 oscillation. Okay, so let us start and stop after 5 oscillations and measure the time period required for 5 oscillation, then calculate the time period required for single oscillation, and then reciprocal of time period will give you frequency. Okay, so let's get started. So start, stop. So now you can see that stopwatch shows you 2.43 seconds. Okay, so now here in calculation part we can have time required for phi oscillation, which is time period, which is equal to 2.439 seconds. So time required for one oscillation is coming out to be 0.487 seconds, which is equal to 2.439 divided by 5. But frequency is equal to 1 by time period, so 1 by 0.4878, which is equal to f practical, which is coming out to be 2.05 hertz. Okay, similarly we have found the time period and the frequency required with rotor loaded with arm is coming out to be f practical is coming out to be 1.88, and rotor loaded with arm and weight is coming out to be 1.69. How it is coming, we'll see it in a practical. Now we are attaching arms to rotor B. This is arm to which we can attach mass also. So we are fixing both the arms. This is arm 1. So we have fixed both the arms, and now we are finding the frequency while loading the arm. After loading the arm, we are going to find the frequency of the rotor. So let's find it out. Start. Stop. Stop. So now you can record the reading. You can see that it is coming out to be 3.05 seconds. So for 3.05 seconds, it is coming out to be rotor loaded with arm. F practical is coming out to be 1.88 for time 3.05 seconds. Okay, now we are going to load the weights over the arm. Now we are going to load weights over the arm likewise. So this is the weight of 0.5 kg. We are loading it over the arm. Loading over it. So let us see the effect on frequency after loading the weight. So let us count for phi oscillation and measure the time. Start. Stop. After stopping, you can see the reading is coming out to be 4.55 seconds in the stopwatch. And now, as we can see that the rotor loaded with arm and weight, F practical is coming out to be 1.69 for the 4.55 seconds. We have seen how to find frequency through practical method. Now we will be trying to understand how to find frequency through theoretical methods. In order to find frequency through theoretical methods, we have to find LA, which is length of node from rotor A, and LB, which is length of node from rotor B, whereas we know that the total length of shaft is 995 millimeter. So right after that, first of all we have to consider the rotation of the rotors. We have to make the rotor to move in clockwise and anti-clockwise direction, and right after that we have to twist the shaft by moving rotor A in a clockwise direction and moving rotor B in a anti-clockwise direction. Right after that, we'll be able to see that these pins are moving in the direction of rotor B, and this pin is moving in the direction of rotor A. But now if we shift it to further distances, then it come into observation that it hardly move or it neutralizes its motion. But again we have to neutralize its motion so that there should be no motion, so we have to shift it. Okay, likewise, and it is moving neither in the direction of rotor B nor in the direction of rotor A. Again we have to twist it again, and we have to check the rotation of this pin. Now see, this pin is moving in certain direction, it is not following any of the rotation of A or B. Again we have twisted it. Now again we have to see, we have to locate the pin in such a way that there should be no deflection in this pin, but there is sort of neutral deflection right now. Again we are twisting it. Again we are checking for no deflection, but there is a deflection again in pin. So you have to make trial and error like this, and once the pin stops responding to the twisting, that point is your node point. Okay, so this seems to be the point where twisting of the rotor hardly affect the motion of the pin. It is deviating in both the directions. So let us say it is a neutral direction. So now let us measure the length through this strip. Now let's measure the distance over here on the scale. So it is near about 37.9 centimeters, means here we can write it as LA is equal to 0.379. Okay, so rest of the distance will be LB, that is 0.995 minus 0.379, which is equal to 0.6155. Okay, so this will be your LB and this is your LA. So in order to find the theoretical frequency, we have to consider some calculations. So let's have a look at the diagram first. This is rotor A, this is rotor B, this is whole length L, this is node point N, such that the distance of node point from rotor A is LA and distance of node point from rotor B is LB, and this is the T theta diagram you can see. T theta diagram you can see over here, and this is the total length, such that total length is equal to LA plus LB. Okay, now let us consider over here LA and LB are the lengths of two portion of the shaft from node M. Right after that, IA and IB as the mass moment of inertia, J is the polar moment of inertia, D is the diameter of the shaft, G is the modulus of rigidity. Then right after that, we are having certain technical specification of our system, that A is equal to 215 millimeter, disc B diameter is equal to 190 millimeter. Then masses of the disc are given as 2.75 for A is it is 2.78 kg, for B it is 2.21 kg, then length of arm is 15 centimeter, then thickness of arm is 48 millimeter, then mass of arm is 115 gram, then diameter of the mass attached we have given as 6.28 centimeter, mass attached to the arm is 365 gram, then length of shaft is 992 millimeter, or here there is little bit modification in that, it is 995 millimeter. Then diameter of shaft it is given as 3.32 millimeter, and modulus of rigidity it is given as 0.84 into 10 to the power 11 Newton per meter square. So now as per our table, there are three adjustments. First is without arm and weight, second is with arm, and third is with arm and weight. So IA is common to all the three methods. Then IB is slightly varying, just because with arm the IB becomes 0.0099, then with arm IB becomes 0.1329, and with arm and weight IB becomes 0.2575. Okay, right after that, as we found LA through practical procedure, it is coming out to be 0.379, and LB is 0.995 minus 0.379, which is coming out to be 0.6155. So this is the way we find LB over here, LA and LB. But now there is another case where we have to find the frequency. So in order to find frequency, certain calculations are there for the same case number 1. Calculations are likewise. So for the first case, as we know that J is the polar moment of inertia, J is given as pi by 32 into d to the power 4, which is equal to pi by 32 into 3.32 into 10 to the power minus 3 to the power 4. So J is coming out to be 1.192 into 10 to the power minus 11 meter to the power 4. Okay, so I is coming out to be 0.016063, and IB is coming out to be 0.0099. So putting all this value in the equation number 6, we have found over there. The equation number 6 is LAIA is equal to LBIB. So this equation we are using over here, and after putting the value in the equation, we are able to find LA, and LA is coming out to be 0.616 LB. Okay, but as we know that L is equal to LA plus LB, we are putting the value of L over here, total length of shaft, that is 995 into 10 to the power minus 3 meters, which is equal to 0.616 into LB plus LB. So through this equation we are able to find LB over here. It is coming out to be 61559 meters, as we find here before. Then LA is given as 0.3794 meters. Now putting these values in the equation of omega n, as we know that omega n is equal to under root of G Cj by LAIA. Here it is noted G instead of C. G and C are nothing but the same quantity. G is modulus of rigidity and C is also modulus of rigidity. So Gj upon LAIA is mentioned over here. By putting the value which we obtained over here, we can find the omega n is coming out to be 12.82 radians per second. But as we know that omega n is equal to twice pi fn, we can have fn is equal to 12.82 divided by twice pi. So fn is coming out to be 2.040 hertz, and this is theoretical value of our first case, and practical value as we found here before, it is coming out to be 2.05. so you can see over here, we can put over here the value which we obtained through theoretical calculation is coming like coming as 2.040 hertz. Okay, so this is the first case. Likewise, we can obtain this is the first case. Likewise, we can obtain the LALB values for second case, means with arm, and LLB values for third case, means with arm and weight. Then we can find, as we find the practical values are near about 1.88 and 1.69, which are mentioned over here. Likewise, we are intend to find the values through theoretical calculation, and we are going to validate it. Now for the second case, we are putting arms over here, over this rotor B, this arm and this arm, likewise. Okay, so let us have a look after putting arm how it look like. So this is how it will look like after putting arms over rotor B. You can see this is how it will look like. Now again we have to repeat the same procedure. We have to twist rotor B in the clockwise and rotor A in the anti-clockwise direction, and then we have to locate this pin in the direction where it will get neutralized in its motion. We need to neutralize the motion of this pin. We have to make certain iterations for this. Again we have to repeat the procedure so that the motion should get neutralized. Now this is the case where unbiased motion, you can see it is not as that of rotor A or as that of rotor B. It is rotating independently of rotor A and B. So you can say it is a neutral condition of motion. Now let's measure the length of it. So we are having string with us. So now measuring the length. So it is coming out to be 450 near about. You can see the mark over here. Okay, so now putting 450 mark over here, marking the length of A as 450. Again 0.995 minus 4500 is coming out to be 0.544. So that will be length of rotor B, and theoretically by the same calculation as we have done here before, we can find that the frequency is coming out to be 1.8716 hertz. It is coming out 1.8716 hertz. Okay, so this is the frequency of This is the frequency of our second case. Now let us move on the third case with arm and weight. So now arm are already loaded to it. Now we are going to load weights over it. So this is the weight of 500 gram, 0.5 kg, 500 gram or 0.5 kg. So we are going to locate over here. So let us look like rotor B. You can see, you can have a close look over here. So after loading weights over here, you can have a look at the rotor B, and rotor A is as it is. So now let us have again twisting motion. Now twisting, after twisting you can see that again pin is moving in the direction of rotor A and this pin is moving in the direction of rotor B. There is biased rotor motion, but we are looking for unbiased motion of the pin, neither in the direction of rotor A nor in the direction of rotor B. Now again we are shifting the pin and trying to neutralize its rotation. Again we have to try for its neutral location. So it will be taking time for getting neutralized in its motion. Again it is moving. Again it is having certain bias direction of motion. So again we have to twist it. Again we have to see the motion, how it is moving. It should be neutralized in its motion. So it is now following motion of certain rotor, but we have to again try to neutralize the motion. So we have to take trial and error type of process. This is a trial and error type of process. We have to continue it. So now it is rocking at a moment. At this moment it is rocking at a point. So we can consider this as a neutralized motion. So now measuring the distance and taking it on the scale. See now the distance is coming out to be 61 point something 61 point something centimeter. So you can write over here the distance as 61 0.617 and 0.995 minus 0.617 is coming out to be 0.382, and after doing the calculation we are able to find the frequency as 1.6042 Hertz. So it is near about same as that of practical value. You can see the theoretical value and practical values are matching to each other. So hardly there be any kind of error or difference between them. So you can say that it is perfectly So to conclude, you can see that as we find length of A, length of B, node point over here, and theoretical and practical value, hardly there be any kind of difference between theoretical and practical value. So you can conclude that with this condition, you can conclude that as the rotor is loaded with the mass, as the rotor B is loaded with the mass, the node point is going to get shifted towards rotor B. Okay, and you can see over here that the node point is shifting towards rotor B, just because in the prior case we were having value of rotor B LB as 0.655, which is far from rotor B, and when we attach arm to it, it was having value near about 0.5, so which is a little bit nearer than the earlier value. And when we attach mass to it, the value comes out to be 0.382. So the node point is get shifted when we add the weight over the rotors, and this node point is shifted towards rotor B. Likewise, you can see over here that these node points are going to get shifted over here, and it is going far from rotor A and it is shifting towards rotor B. So this is the conclusion of the experiment, that in case of two rotor system, the node point is going to get shifted towards the weight side than that of the lighter side. Okay, thanks for watching. Thank you so much.